What's up, boys and girls? Welcome back to another Packet Live. It's a PKT Community Roundtable Wednesday, July 9th at 9:05. How you guys doing?
Doing good. I wonder how many of these we've actually done.
Yeah, we've done a good amount.
A lot.
At least 20.
No, it's probably more than that.
I'm just saying at least.
Well,
I mean, we've been doing them every week for a year.
Yeah.
So 52, right?
I mean, it's got to be more than that because we've been doing it for more than a year.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, as the live, we were doing them as we were doing them as spaces.
Right.
And I think the first live that we actually did was when we moved over to base, and we had like thousands of people on. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, we're just taking them out pretty fire. I'm actually proud of us that we've been able to keep this going as long as we have.
Yes.
Well, it's another Crypto Pump Wednesday. That's the new.
Is it pumping? It's always pumping on Wednesday. I wonder what that is.
Well, it was always dumping on Wednesday for a long time. Now we're pumping on Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, been pretty consistent.
Depends on what's going on Truth Social. Depends on whether we're dumping.
Exactly.
Liberation Day's been extended again.
Apparently, Truth. I got an email from Truth Social that they're launching a token. Does anybody know anything about this?
They're always doing something. I get an email like once a week. It's very frustrating.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like they're making a TV station, a token, another token. They're going to buy Bitcoin, and then maybe they're not going to buy Bitcoin. It's like, what do you just tell us after you did it? How about that?
What would you say you do here at Innotek?
They just like to make announcements, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the whole thing is about. Just getting people hyped on what's coming.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the music industry when people would say, got a new single coming out in a year. It's like, dude, just tell me when it's out, bro. I don't need to know friggin' 365 days before it comes out.
Yeah. Well, I remember when they did the thing where they said they were going to buy Bitcoin. I actually read that press release, and it said like authorizing money to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and for other purposes. And I was like, okay. So it's and for other purposes as well. So are you actually going to buy Bitcoin? Or are you just going to raise money and use it for operations? Just let me know when you've actually bought the Bitcoin and tell me how much you bought.
Well, one thing we can say about today is ETH is on a pretty significant pump.
Here you go. I found it.
This is the highest price of ETH in just about a month, and this is right at the level where it's been rejected. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is like a critical level to clear. Is this like 2,700 level? So
yeah.
What's the level if we break it? Where do we go?
Probably head up to 20, like just 2,900. Trying to get up there. I mean, there's some other kind of quasi levels. There's kind of a range in this like 27.5, and then it goes up to like 28, just in this area everywhere. But like this 26.5 has been a pretty significant level where we've seen 26.5, 27, we've seen several different significant rejections. We've seen $400 rejections at this level on numerous occasions.
Yeah, well, it's funny because July 9th is when the tariffs were supposed to come into place, and
right.
He punted that, obviously.
Yeah, the taco train is on.
And so, it always just goes the opposite of what you thought, as long as he punts.
Yeah, look, pretty inadequate at negotiating trade deals at this point. But yeah, and I think everyone's just playing them at this point. I don't know if we'll see trade deals, but But yeah, at this particular juncture, July 9th, I think anytime it gets punted, you're going to see a pump, you know? So we'll see what happens on August 1st now.
Yeah,
Next,
My
next
last,
day.
the last time I'll punt it, I promise.
Yeah, last and final. So
I've
but
been
what-
there. I was just gonna say, there's also some like crazy things happening in the weather sphere here in America. I don't know if you guys saw what happened in Texas,
yeah.
but I don't know if you saw that another flood happened in New Mexico yesterday. Same situation, water rose 50 feet in 1 hour and just completely wiped out this, like, it's basically this river that like it just literally just boosted up all the homes on the river, completely washed away. It's just another catastrophic scenario. But yeah, it was pretty wild to see I follow this one guy on Instagram, and he's like, I don't know what is going on, but there's like natural disaster after natural disaster after natural disaster, volcanoes exploding, earthquakes going off, floods. It's just, China had the worst flood. It was like a 50-year flood, and then Texas, now New Mexico. It's just, and then I suppose the other one just had a huge flood. Like it's the year of the floods.
There's
Yeah,
a company called Rainmakers that is catching a lot of heat online right now because
Cloud seeding, guys.
Yep, cloud seeding right over Texas just before that flood.
Yeah, and there's another. I was watching this lady. She does like she looks at the planet and looks at the like the radar of like where like energy pulses happen, and seeing all these like crazy energy waves that have been like going in different places, like over Texas, New Mexico, and yeah, I mean, the cloud seeding's crazy. They literally basically created a hurricane that sat over Texas for 18 hours, and that's why the water levels rose. Like a hurricane, I mean, from my understanding is hurricanes develop over the water and then they move on to land. They don't develop over land. That's like super abnormal.
The other thing is I don't really trust anything anybody says online, but
sure, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, they're looking at just like radars.
I think the more than news is that there's a lot of heat coming at these cloud seeding companies online, and it's sort of a watch this space kind of thing, rather than not really to draw any conclusions just yet, but definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Well, we saw what happened
in Dubai
when they did the cloud seeding over Dubai and literally flooded Dubai. So, I mean, this shit's a problem.
And they changed
this out.
When they did that, they changed the ecosystem over the deserts, and they put so much water in the desert, and it created this humidity climate, and it's changed the landscape of like in Saudi Arabia and like places like that where they don't see like any water. They did cloud seeding, produced all this water, and now the climate environment has like changed, and it's never going to go back, because once it starts, it's that creates the system. And
well, actually, I think that's cool. I think it's cool to be able to take a desert and make it green. Like that's a testament to our great capabilities as humans. Something that I think is funny is that the whole chemtrail narrative has kind of snapped from conspiracy theory over to generally accepted fact. There's that spot in the middle between conspiracy theory and generally accepted fact where nothing ever lives there. It always goes from one, snaps over to the other, and it just becomes like something that everybody always knew all along.
Like whether Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
Yeah, that one's kind of like doing the same thing. It's sort of, the memosphere has been banging the drum on that endlessly. It's just like, we're going to make jokes about that until morale improves.
There's just for some reason, there's a 2-minute, pause in the video. They released a video and it jumps from 11:58 to 12. And I watched a press conference, and the lady was like, that's just something that happens every single day. It's like, What?
Why would you turn off that? Why would you provide that video? There's so many problems with that. I just think, yeah, I mean, I love the
So like you didn't catch that. You just like you cut and you didn't look at the time code and just fix it. Like it's not a hard thing to fix. Just fix it. Just fix it.
Imagine me adding
It took a
more
video
minutes.
of 2
Yeah,
minutes.
you fix that in like 30 seconds. Like, what are we doing? Like, who's
I could do it right here on a friggin' free AI website that put the time code on it, cut it out, and put it back.
Oh God, help.
Caleb, you're muted, buddy.
Yeah, I know. It's nothing. I'm
Oh,
getting harassed by a fly.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say something.
Yeah, I was. This fly's about to die.
Yeah.
Is that I need to get one of those. Flies here up in the mountains are pretty vicious. They're big horse flies, and they bite you.
Yeah, these things work pretty good.
Yeah, I need to get one. Anywho, what's happening in Packet Land, boys?
Yeah, a lot of shit. We've been pitching like crazy for different channels. We're pretty close on a pretty massive one, which I'm excited to talk about. We can't talk about it now, but once we lock this deal down, it's a big one. So yeah, we have it's been cool to program these channels and to start coming up with ideas of what can be programmed on Packet TV. And we actually have some pretty big meetings today about, I guess we can kind of talk, we're about using some of this, there's tons of technology that's already exists. So it's, our goal is to not reinvent the wheel, but to bring something new and special to it. And so we have some pretty big meetings this week to talk about some technology that could be implemented as Packet TV pretty easily. So, and get millions of users very quickly, which it's funny because when you think about people using things in crypto, millions of users is, most people don't have tens of millions or billions of users in crypto. So it'll be really cool to bring that kind of usership onto Packet TV and have that be using the infrastructure that the Packet community is powering.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I really like the way that we approach this, and it is a little longer way to go. So the way that we started this off was, once we got into the media conversation, the first thing that we did is we built a big advisory board. That's kind of the first piece of what Josh and I did. And it was like a slow burn because you're just bringing people in. You're explaining what you're trying to do and then bringing in a team and giving people kind of a vested interest in our efforts. So, and also with some objectives, we gave each advisor objectives so that they could understand how to participate. And so we built that up. We should look at how many we have, Josh. It's well over 20. Our goal was to bring in like 50 advisors. And one of them we spoke to yesterday. I gotta go, give Josh his flowers here. Josh typed into ChatGPT who are like the biggest names in the fast streaming space.
We have 26.
26, okay. And we gave it gave off this name. I think we could just mention his name, Josh, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. His name's Alan Walk, right?
Yeah.
And how do you spell his last name?
WOLK.
Yeah. And so we spoke to him yesterday, and this guy just gave a speech at the streaming convention. What was it? A couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
What was the name of that convention?
Stream TV.
Yeah, Stream TV. And sold out, like packed house. He is a very well-respected, very, well-spoken intellect in the fast streaming space. It provides consultancy to some of the biggest companies. We were going through some of the names.
Yeah, he wrote a book called Over the Top: How the Internet is Changing the Television Industry. Caleb, you'd probably vibe out on this book if you're into doing some reading while you're on the toilet. It's pretty cool. I'm actually reading it right now. It talks about how the internet changed television.
The internet changed all media and still is.
I know, but it talks about all that. It does talk about all of it, but it talks specifically about television.
Yep.
But yeah,
right now.
What's that?
We are making TV right now.
Yeah, totally. Well, it talks about like how Napster and Apple changed just music, and then how things become commoditized, and the barrier to entry to create things came down, which took the value away from content. It used to just like content used to be really valuable because it was only created by the few, and it was only at the studios, and there was this and you had to pay for DVDs, and you had to pay for VHS tapes to be able to access them. But then when everything is available, it brings down like the value and the scarcity of this stuff. And yeah, it's really fascinating approach. So if you're into reading things, it's pretty cool book.
So really cool to have this guy as an advisor now. And we got on the call. I could tell he was a little apprehensive to like, what are these guys going to talk about? What do these guys want from me? And it became a great conversation. Josh obviously did a great job getting him on board. And then we did kind of a kickoff call yesterday. We went through the technology behind Packet TV. We went down the line on some of the other advisors, and right out of the gate, we had just gotten off the phone with another guy. He's not an advisor, but someone actually within the crypto sphere that we've come in contact with a lot, named Mark Scarpa. And Mark runs Decentric Media, actually has a fast channel that's focused on crypto.
Defiance Media.
Oh, Defiance Media, sorry.
Yeah,
and Decentric is his.
Well, that was what it used to be. Now it's Defiance.
Now it's Defiance. Got it. So he changed the name. And even though he was saying it last night, he's like, I got to change my email over,
Yeah.
So I still see that. But we told Alan, we were like, yeah, we just got off the phone. Like our call went really long with Mark. And then we ended like 1 minute before our call with Alan, and we jumped right on time. We were like, we just got off the phone with Mark. Mark said to say hello. And he was like, oh, wow, you just spoke with Mark. He's like, okay, I feel a lot better about this call, and that you guys are on another call with Mark. Love Mark. He's a great guy. And we had a great call with Alan, told him what we're trying to do. And he's advising a lot of major companies that he provides consultancy for, that are, as he said, clients. And so he's really going to be able to provide us with some connections to some of the technology partners that we're going to need for Packet TV, which was really, really compelling, both in the AI technology space, in streaming infrastructure space, and some of the patent technology that we're exploring as well. So it was just he was just a weapon, just be a weapon in our arsenal at Packet TV. So that was really exciting. So anyways, that was our first kind of set of initiatives, and it's kind of a slow burn because you're building a roster of advisors. So now that we did that, 26 advisors now on the project, and then simultaneous to that is on the content side. So we've been building content relationships, and on the distribution side, distribution relationships, which will provide the kind of bedrock for the ultimate platform that gets launched next year. And some of these guys that are on our team are just absolute hitters, with 9-figure exits, several in the fast streaming space and streaming television space. And we have a squad now. And then, as Josh just mentioned, we can't talk about it yet, but we're working on a channel with an A-list piece of talent, top 1% of A-list talent. And that channel will be we believe a catalyst, both from like a news and publicity standpoint, and then as well as from a distribution deal and from a production, standpoint, and being able to bring other potential channels to Packet TV, kind of setting a standard of the quality of channels that we're developing and what happens next. And so that's been one of the challenges with Packet, from a project standpoint on crypto, is you don't get a lot of collaborative, you don't get a lot of collaborative players. Everyone's in their own, fiefdom, as they say. It's like you just get a lot of isolated silos within the crypto space. So,
Unless
people
you
talk
pay.
about what's that, Jerry?
And unless you pay.
Right. Everyone's like, oh,
You can't even pay. Like a lot of these celebrities, like the
But
people
sure,
we're
some of them are like, yeah, give me $100,000 or give me
1% of the
1% of your token supply, and
we did collaborations with some pretty amazing communities, and how much what that brought to the project? A whopping nothing.
yeah,
like that's the problem with the crypto space, is everybody's just a bunch of this. And so being able to branch out into a space where there are people that listen to one another, and they will do things, or they'll go explore things when they speak, opposed to these wannabe influencers in the crypto space. When they just post something, it's all fake, it's all just a bunch of bots, it's not real.
and
it's
just a lot of pump and dump. That's just what's been happening in crypto. Like things, there's not a lot of staying power, and it is true. I mean, there's some powerhouse influencers, and they can get a chart to go green and go vertical, but the issue is just sustaining that is much more difficult. And so there's certainly examples of things actually doing well in crypto, but they're few and far between from a long-term standpoint. And now that 99% of the crypto market's in a bear market, other than Bitcoin, it's the only thing that's kind of like hovering in the all-time high space and has been hanging out there for now months and months and months, which is impressive. But yeah, the rest of the market is still in the doldrum. I mean, someone was just showing a chart about where Bitcoin is relative to where it was 1 year ago, and where ETH is relative to where it was 1 year ago. ETH's down by 30% plus. I think it was up in the mid 3,000s a year ago. So, anyways, the point is that the point is that this is we feel really good about the way that we've been building this up and landing these channels, having these advisors, and now there's some huge pieces of deal making that's going on that includes some major inroads to users, and as Josh mentioned, being able to launch Packet TV again, from our lips to God's ears here, in terms of being able to launch with the potential of hundreds of thousands of users would be monstrous, because there's not a lot of things in crypto with hundreds of thousands of users. And potentially even with the prospect of getting into the low seven figures very, very early on with some of the strategies that we're implementing here, and not having to go like zero to hero, but actually being able to acquire some solutions that will bring us usership right at the gate. So those are things that we'll talk about more specifically as they come to fruition. But again, our focus has been that advisory foundation, and then now the content side of things. And the content side is providing tremendous credibility. And again, the cool thing is, if you're trying to bring content with the A list of crypto, it's really difficult. It's really difficult because the A list in the crypto world is usually influencers that are involved with their own platforms, and it's very difficult to get those people to like co-sign onto your platform. But in the entertainment space, where I specifically have a sense of credibility based on the films that I've made and the relationships I have there, we've had a lot of access and the opportunity to have conversations and have inroads to significant talent that, again, bringing this to what our focus is for Packet TV will be a major newsworthy, situation. So those are the trajectories that we're on right now. The other cool thing is that in advance of the Packet TV platform launching in 2026, mid 2026, is these channels that we're developing will ideally be able to, several of them at least, will be able to launch this year. So, and those channels will launch. They're not like just waiting to launch on Packet TV. We'll get them syndicated into other fast streaming platforms, whether they be the Rokus, the Tubis, Plutos, Samsung Plus, etc. That way, once Packet TV launches, those channels can also exist on Packet TV, but it doesn't require us to wait to launch a platform in order to get some of this creative stuff going. So Packet TV will get some visibility even before the end of the year, just by our involvement with these channels.
Yeah, lots to do. And I think also it'll bring a lot of new excitement to Packet and to, the domain stuff. We were even talking to Mark about the domain stuff as well, which was exciting to him and to and yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity with what this does to the project and how we're able to market it. And everyone talks about marketing and how to bring people in. There's no better marketing than media marketing. I mean, just like all the press that we get to create around that, all the leverage around that. So yeah, there's once we start announcing these channels and start announcing the people associated with these channels, then that's just going to bring a lot of excitement back into the Packet ecosystem. And we all know that the crypto world is all based on hype, and so yeah, that's where a lot of the hype comes in. So you've been told that shit's coming, so do as you wish to build your bag now.
Josh, can you explain to the people in the back how Packet TV and the Packet network, coincide with one another?
Yeah, sure. Where people
where are they going to intersect, and how does the Packet network tie in? I think that's a really important aspect to bringing everything together.
Yeah, well, a perfect example right now is the Packet Hub, which is up and live right now. And you can see that that's planted on a domain that's staked within the ecosystem. And people are, on those websites. That's powered by the Packet network and by the Packet ecosystem. It's also on a CJDNS node that is in the ecosystem. So on top of that, we're using, a CDN to drive to push the content or the accessibility of that website to the edge. But the site and the domain are on the Packet network that's powered by this community. The same thing will happen with Packet TV. It'll be powered by the people who are running nodes around the world. And as people access Packet TV, they're going to be utilizing the infrastructure that the community is powering.
Yeah, so basically, if you're here listening and you're new here, you can fire up a CJDNS node and get some Packet and stake your Packet in connection with your CJDNS node, and you'll be a participator on the Packet network, earning Packet and powering the network. So if we get, when we, launch Packet TV, and all the news comes out around what that entails and what's happening and all the people involved, you know, all the flood of people coming into the project, firing up these nodes, it's going to be a grab of getting your packet and, you know, staking. I mean, and if you've been here since, you know, August last year or even sooner, you've been involved in staking and you've been involved in, you know, the liquidity pool and getting getting as much packet as you can. I mean, there's a lot of packet being distributed every single day. I mean, I have nodes going. Josh, Jesse, Caleb, everybody here on this call have nodes going. There's a lot of people in the community who have nodes going, and just earning packet and accumulating and building your bag. I mean, that's what this is. You know, the early stages of this project are building your bag and supporting the network. And then once this thing really goes live, then all those people that were here early are going to be happy.
Yeah, I think just to touch on kind of where the Packet TV connects with Packet Network, you know, for many, many years, it was about discussing what the utility of the network was, right? So you have a network that's being powered by nodes around the world. And as Jeremy was just mentioning, with staking, you earn packet by staking a node, and you have to run CJDNS. So now CJDNS is running in, I think, 34 countries around the world, and you have these nodes, you know, staked. In addition to that, Caleb launched Packet DNS, which enables people to also stake a domain and earn packet for staking a domain, a top level domain. And that's built this whole DNS system. The next piece is like, okay, what do you do with that? Now, we built Packet Hub. Packet Hub allows individuals to actually put content, you know, create a domain, a unique domain for your site. And from that website, you can now do commerce. You can distribute your own content. Now, that could just be publishing content like a blog. It could be an e-commerce site. You could actually sell content off of there in terms of, for example, like, you know, a movie or something of that nature, and be able to transact directly off the platform. So those things are already built. The thing that we realized, though, while we were building all that early this year, is that it will be difficult to get a lot of people to onboard to the Packet Hub to promote themselves unless there's a lot of publicity and promotion around that platform about what it does. Because it could be in at scale like a competitor to a iTunes or something like that, meaning it allows people to do what's called transactional video on demand, which is TVOD, which is how iTunes works. You can go on there, you could rent a movie, you could buy a movie. These are all things that can be done off of the Packet Hub. So we wanted to democratize access for content creators to get distribution. The problem is that the biggest creators are going to go to the biggest distribution platforms, right? If you're Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or if you're Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, like, you're not coming to Packet Hub to start. You're going to your home studio. You're going to be working with the Netflixes and the Warner Brothers of the world, right? And so what we stumbled into fast streaming. What's unique about fast streaming is it's free. It enables distribution, and from the publisher side, which is like anyone who has content or has a channel, has a brand, for example, and wants to distribute their content, the way that they make money is, instead of trying to get consumers to open up their wallet and pay them $5 or $10, which is a tall order right now, because we as consumers have a lot of subscriptions, and our subscriptions are to the biggest distribution platforms in the game, like Netflix, like Amazon, like Disney, you know, HBO, Hulu. These platforms are garnering our dollars. And now that most people have, you know, 5 to 10 different subscriptions, Packet TV is not getting your subscription. Like it's a tall ask, and you end up with a small amount of viewership. So what do you do to mitigate that? Give it away for free. And what's really compelling about Fast is that where the money comes from and where the people who are putting content on there get paid is through the advertisers. So if you can get really, really great channels with celebrities, then advertisers will want to advertise there, and we can build a couple channels. This is what's becoming really exciting with Fast, is building channels that have A-level celebrities, top-level brands, sports and sports teams, and this type of content is attracting advertisers. They call it like niche content, but any given niche could have hundreds of thousands or even millions of really dedicated viewers, right? So as we aggregate these channels, give them away for free, it will draw an audience. Those channels with audience will draw in advertisers. That brings in the money and can bring in now a foundation for marketing and promotion. And that can now bring awareness. We can use that as a catalyst to bring awareness to this distribution capability in Packet Hub, and also content that's distributed through Packet Hub can also be onboarded into Packet TV. And so that's kind of how the ecosystem begins to function. In addition to that, while Packet Network wasn't designed as a high-speed CDN per se, our interest is to kind of push the limit there as much as possible. I mean, CJDNS nodes weren't specifically designed to do high speed, CDN and be a holistic streaming solution. But our intent is to use as much of the Packet Network infrastructure for Packet TV as possible. Now, that may just be some of these more nascent nodes that don't require high-speed CDN, but there very well may be some interesting development solutions that can actually provide some of the ready-made infrastructure for Packet Network. But the goal is to tell a story around utility for the Packet Network and its use within the context of Packet TV. The next piece of this is around payments, and we've always been excited about using the Packet, infrastructure for revenue transparency. And this is a big problem that exists in the media space in particular. It's actually a thing that really drew Josh, myself in to be involved with the beginning of PKT, was around payments and royalties and specifics relative to content, and using the blockchain essentially for revenue transparency and for royalty payments. And now that Packet is in the Ethereum ecosystem, even being able to use smart contracts for royalty payments, basically being able to pre-program royalty shares and getting paid in real time, and having like a mutable blockchain essentially for royalties. So these are all solutions that we're excited about bringing into the entertainment space. But we realize that it can't be a topical solution. Everyone else was approaching it like topically, which is like, oh, well, you could just like use crypto for this. But generally speaking, the industry is not going to do that, and it hasn't done that. Crypto's been around for a long time, and it's not been adopted within the entertainment space whatsoever. So with running a platform and offering publishers the option to be paid in real time using crypto, or get like a traditional royalty statement, get paid every 90 or 180 days, I believe that content publishers are going to choose to be paid in real time and have the benefit of using cryptocurrency and a mutable ledger with data and revenue transparency, opposed to what the traditional model is doing. And we were actually saying this to Alan yesterday, that if you were to say, well, what's the point of difference with Packet TV? Like, what makes Packet TV unique? Why would someone come to Packet TV versus going to like one of the big incumbents? It's, I believe, this data and revenue transparency solution really provides a benefit to publishers that you're never going to get from even the likes of Netflix and Amazon. They don't care. They have no incentive to provide you with data transparency. They have no incentive to pay you in real time. It's just, they're already so big. There's no reason for them to provide that type of that type of benefit or solution to their customers or to their publishers. So we can do that, and that was always the bedrock of the Packet network and the Packet mission and the Packet cryptocurrency. And so our goal is to use Packet TV as a entry point for connecting cryptocurrency to and the Packet network, this decentralized global mesh networking, to the entertainment space. So that's where it comes into play.
Yeah, we always say the best way for people to get involved in crypto is when they're, or like, the project's been successful is when people are touching it and they don't even know that they are. So it's like, if you're getting data transparency because of a blockchain and you're getting paid in real time, but you don't care that it's a blockchain or not, at least you just care that you're getting your money.
Yeah.
And I mean, that, that's the ultimate. That's and you can choose how you want to get paid.
And I think the one thing that you gotta give it to the Trump administration to is on their welcoming and innovation in crypto. I'm shocked that this shouldn't even be a partisan issue, but we know that crypto provides so much benefit in the realm of transparency, in the realm of accessibility and transportability of money, and lowering fees and speeding up, the transmission of payments. Like, this is the future of money, and that's now really been welcomed in to bringing a lot more regulation and also deregulation, getting off the back of these exchanges that have just been, criminalized and attacked, viciously for, now basically a decade. And then you just had Circle IPO go from $30 to now it's like just under $200 a share. That would have been a good buy. But most importantly, that's the kind of innovation in the direction that we're going with stablecoins, and stablecoins getting into the banking industry. And, a lot of people don't realize that if you have an app for your bank and it shows you how much money's in your account, that money's not in your account. That's just a representation of money, but that's not how much money's in there. They're just assuming that every single customer is not going to go withdraw the cash, because usually these banks are leveraged 10 to 1 or more. And so you're already kind of working off of just a digital wallet. And but it's not like actual money in there. Whereas with crypto, if it says it's in there, it's in there. And a lot of people don't understand that yet.
Do you remember when PayPal came onto the scene? If people just like poo-pooed PayPal, and like,
I can remember the early days of PayPal and how people related to.
It was more Venmo. Venmo is really the one.
Well, Venmo was when it broke out, but PayPal was obviously a huge thing, and PayPal was bought by eBay. And so it was definitely viewed as innovative. I don't remember how the customer viewed it. I remember it was more around a digital payment solution, because it was right around the same time that, people were just figuring out how to pay for something with a credit card. I mean, there was a period
about more like the banking side and like the government side and the regulation side.
I don't recall.
PayPal, I mean, from a customer from a general public perspective, PayPal was seen a lot as a scammy because there was a lot of scam project or scam people, doing shady stuff. Get sent it with PayPal, like in the early 2000s.
Right.
I had a PayPal account before I was 18, so it just shows you how little verification they were doing back then.
Right.
But I think that they were kind of looked at a little bit harshly from the government, but not too much, because back then there wasn't really that much going on in the financial space. It was all under control, and PayPal was under control too. Liberty Reserve, I don't know if anybody remembers that name. They got shut down. They were issuing a paper currency called the Liberty Dollar, and they got raided and shut down. But they were just trying to do a complementary currency to the U.S. dollar, and they, the three-letter agencies came up with reasons why they could go and raid them and shut them down.
Yeah,
but
just a little too early.
Yeah, it was centralized. That was the problem. And there was eGold. That was also centralized, also got shut down. But then when Bitcoin came, it was decentralized. So I think there was two reasons why Bitcoin didn't get shut down. One was decentralized, and the other was I think the regulators had major fatigue from the 2008 thing where the bankers just put a gun to their head and said, you have to give us what we want, otherwise we're going to destroy the economy.
Yeah. Well, now you got Trump with Liberty Financial, so I guess he wanted that name for himself. But ultimately the outcome is anything new is just always attacked. We always know that, humans are very resistant to change. And, seen that with Bitcoin, going from, pennies to, $100,000, Bitcoin now. But yeah, ultimately the things that have staying power are, will eventually get adopted. And if there's innovation involved, I think there's, it bodes well for the future. And in terms of, what our vision was here with Packet, it definitely is something we believe has the staying power to, and actually from a utility standpoint, really gives people unbelievable suite of opportunities to use. And I think also the integration with Coinbase and what is possible with USDC and on-ramping from fiat currencies into, both your bank account and into the digital sphere. I think that will prove to be, very, very valuable in this next, version of where the project heads. So that's why we just haven't wanted to give up here, even though from a crypto standpoint, it's required a real shot in the arm that hasn't happened yet. And that's why we kind of took a step back, rebuilt and focused on, bringing in the type of names and notoriety that can help actually propel this thing into, kind of mainstream awareness. So this is, we appreciate everyone checking in every single week and getting the updates. We're excited to continue to roll these things out. And really, as we head into this Q3, and then ultimately turn the corner towards the, back quarter of the year, we should be making announcements with regards to these channels and a trajectory towards, the launch of Packet TV mid next year.
Let's go.
Stay tuned. More to come.
Yep.
Thanks,
cool, guys. Thanks for thanks for joining again. We'll be here next week with another update. If you have questions, shoot them into the chat, and don't forget to retweet, comment, like. Let's get this stream pushed out far and wide. Appreciate y'all.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
Have a good one.